what is the problems of African leaders? What are the problems of African leaders? Is it number one? They are myopic thinkers. They don't know what to do to turn this continent around from its current poor bad state into a better state. Or two, they are just evil people. They know the right things to do, but the evil in them, the bad in them is not allowing them to do all these right things to make this continent a better place for all of us to live in. Or three, they are being manipulated by the West and the East. China to be specific when I say the East. And with the West, you know already, the Europe and America, right? Are their hands tied in a compromise situation where they are to make bad decisions or bad policies or bad things to this country and not do the good things for their people, for their individual countries and for this continent? I think their main problems is the first two, because I believe for your household to be destroyed by a foreign entity, then that means you created a fertile ground for that foreign entity to come into your household and destroy your household. And before the West or the East can manipulate our leaders, that means our leaders have created that fertile ground for the West and the East to come in and manipulate them and tie their hands and compromise them. I say it's the first two because sometimes when I go on the socials, when I listen to the news, when I listen to radio, now me take policies, agendas are yempeni for any ba or somebody be bra on mine their countries abroad. It doesn't make sense. It's mediocre. It's like the level of mediocrity in their policy making is just absurd. It's just crazy. One example is Nkoko Nkitinkiti by the NDC, by Mahama John Dramani, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I'm not here to insult His Excellency, but honestly speaking, I believe, or my opinion, I think that policy is just, it doesn't make sense. It's mediocre. It's frivolous. It makes a first one because the policy and what it entails maybe sounds do you really believe such a policy can take this country from one state or from one step to another or from one level to another level? Do you really believe that such a policy and with what it entails can move this country forward? Or it's because you are just coming across but like you are just being evil. You are like, I dream fee. I dream fee now. Would you make it such a policy now? I bring Ghana for say, oh, Ghana for me policy I'm debating because the reason why you guys brought the reason for this policy is say most number one, would be happy youth unemployment in this country, and number two, to help the poultry farmers and to cut down the importation of Nkoko foods into the country, like chicken and meat into the country, like chicken to be specific. That's the reason you guys brought this policy. And some say, yo, do you guys think through this policy? What's nice, like, yes, 2 years are better than one. It may be, Mr. President, maybe you bought this policy, or maybe someone brought this policy. Do you guys sit down and think about it? Because me, it doesn't make sense to me. Sorry if it's come across as an insult or like I'm being disrespectful, but yo, this like I just try to call, like, bro, let me explain why I'm saying that this is mediocre. My more example. Say yenya chroma SS, you call it 3 years, right? It's never say in 100 are completing JHS and they are going to the high school or the secondary school, right? And do secondary school no school fees ni boy de omu timi tua enko school number 1. Books besu ya de boy de textbooks notebooks classwork books metro mu nya ni boy de omu timi nto hostel beda boarding house beda ni boy de omu timi tua ka. It's in 100 JHS in 100 no emu 10 penny omu timi afford all these fees and all this necessary things for them to learn or for them to attend school, the secondary school. They are complaining on to the government too. Government are seeing all these complaints. government anya hwe amfa school fees no ho number 1 wanya hwe amfa textbooks ni books na kwala ni sua de o number 2 wanya hwe amfa boarding house no number 3 and kwala 10 no ometima I go through the secondary school omedom final year their third year they are going to write their wasi na abanya ba say on any policy ya or the education system or the school kwala and youth in the country to gain education or to attain education is that is going to share pen for the children to go and write their WAEC. And they are buying the policy or they are out or the year campaign say much about mia the colonial control was here make check pen some more no control was no. So let me know, does such a policy make sense? Do such a policy make sense? One share school fees no and cut down school fees now man kwala say kwala parents make my day it make you school fees no make my school books no one share anya bi anfa ho boarding house ni hostel no one share anya bi anfa ho on any policy or the about ni say obeche pens we no make say mediocre because there's nothing substantial in it. That is not helping the education system. That's not helping school children attain education in this country. It may come across as say, oh my BB, and I like a bino a BB, but on here she a petty empowerment no way, a micro politics no way. Yep, a systematic change. And yes, she Ghana for in cast and move face can be share kutukumu mai. That be. Part of me say you say. Feed in the wedding. And call more crab and the wedding. Omunya ready market. There's no financial institution, something like a bank, where these poultry farmers can enter and go and talk to this bank or these people, like the bank people that yo, I have a business plan to what to rear or to do poultry farming, right? But I want to scale up in the sense that not only will I be producing for the inhabitants of this country, I mean Ghana. For the people of Ghana, but also I want to what export some of my produce. So mama me loan. Now loan is no reasonable interest at that like interest at that one like it makes sense. Poultry farmer can go and invest this loan into his business and get profits and be able to pay the interest and the loan all together. That's what poultry farmers are asking for. That's what the youth are asking for. Say yo. Such a person, so to me, rub bank, not yet, what me says, cana, not me scaling up, like poultry farm, not me scaling up, not me producing export. He's going to employ more people. That's the systematic what empowerment near come, and yet petty empowerment. I'm over here, and you're going to get out of our say, bro, it doesn't make sense. And now say simple, so what banks I want to bet more and turn to the poultry farming. Now, why here? A massive poultry farming, now we employ people like we employ the youth, bro. Yeah. People, work. You are employing people to be working on the farms, like the poultry farms. Also, you are building industries to turn this raw produce, the eggs and the meat into into maybe sausages and all this finished products of the raw produce from the farms. You can employ people there too, in these industries too. This is what Ghanaians are asking for. Not the micropolitics now more. So Nkoko Nkitinkiti to me, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. Suppose instead like a MPB and I did this policy ever out, it will make sense to me. Because MP on the capacity, I know bit my and I go like assemblyman be and a district penny be and all this such a policy ever it would have made sense. But say a whole presidency, a whole government, one of your campaigning policy now the campaign during the 2024 election was Nkoko Nkitinkiti. Bro, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? My friends are promoting such a thing, Nkoko Nkitinkiti. My family promoting such a thing. Even my father is also promoting such a thing. And I'm disappointed in our president for promoting such a thing or for bringing out such a policy. I go by the name Niyama, and this is Ghana First. If today's your first time coming across the content from this channel and find value in it, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, share, and comment. On today's episode, we are going to react to a statement that Great Minister went to make at the Parliament about the Nkoko Nkitinkiti policy, like where it is at, like the situation it is, like a woman is here, what am I saying, like it's an echo, and it's more kind of like it's just it's upset. It's video like Mr. Saros of 22 Network, I have a video about it, and we are here to also react to it and also share our opinions. To join me, let's watch the video.
There are policies that may sound nice to certain people, but it will end up wasting your resources, ladies and gentlemen. And this Nkoko Nkitinkiti policy is a typical example. This is the problem with the policy. First, when you have to hand over these birds to farmers, you will not have the ability to supervise them because of where they are located, ladies and gentlemen. That is the facts. That's it. And supervision, if you know, is what changes everything. The lack of accountable supervision and continuity in this country is the reason for all our failures. Because you cannot supervise these farmers, you cannot predict the outcome of the poultry farms. And that's what's beginning to occur. Instead of giving the birds to party faithfuls, go into the regions as a government or ministry and set up giant poultry farms that you can manage. At least one giant poultry farm in one region.
Another thing too is Matisse anas snanyama yakon anas snanyama koye no. It look like this whole Nkoko Nkitinkiti crap on NDC and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama added this policy by to serve his grassroots people or to help his grassroots people. And if that is the case, then it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, so what Obama means, you know, I'm going to do this for you guys. I mean the NDC grass people, and now I'm going to Obama NDC form. It makes sense. It's not mediocre. Like, it's actually a good policy. But the question is, if that is also the case, is he using state funds to carry out this policy, to implement this policy? Is he using taxpayers' money to implement this policy? Because I have friends, I have people who are also into the poultry farming. And what happened, or from what they told me, was that they reached out or they went to this, to where we were sharing this Nkoko Nkitinkiti in various districts, and we are not giving this Nkoko Nkitinkiti so because apparently they don't need as end these people. That's what they told me. I have a friend, I have an age mate who's into poultry farming. Yeah, we call several times. Yeah, so you end this and you know. It's a man who can't be so on you. It's if that was the case, so and it's from what Obama means no. Me President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency, then that is a good policy. But the question is also that is he using state fund to what? To implement this policy? Because same way under the previous government, the FPP government under the former president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ebe ka kire se obeso si National Cathedral na ye ono ne da so se nyame bua note mi di president na obesi sa cathedral na ye den ahye nyame edi animonyam invitation e bisa no so no de won nsa ni sika ene be this agenda and this project we actually no allegedly or use state funds. Now the year this project and or they carry out this project, that which is the National Cathedral. And at the end of his 8 years, we see National Cathedral and so. And you know, Messiah is to be say number one, our leaders are my big thinkers. My view is number two, they are just evil people because coming out with such a policy is not going to take this country from one level to the other level in terms of what curbing youth unemployment and also helping poultry farmers in this country. It's not going to help them in any way, bro. Honestly speaking, it's going to help them in any way. And one example of the man with the education in America. that education is something that costs so. And it's not something I've made up. It's something that air costs so. Yeah, control busy, control what's beyond about MPs. About no more than yes, church a pence. Some van control was me one. They are complaining, say, yeah, your books in face, you are the boy ding, it's me talk. Yeah, boarding house, no boy ding. Eh, I did a cost so. Yana see your former president, be free education, and Gaston and Kai. Then, yeah, I am making up.
The agriculture minister of Ghana is trying really hard. He's really trying. But this particular policy is a lost cause. He cannot win no matter how much resources or commitment he puts into it. I told you the Nkoko Nkitinkiti program will not work. And I'm vindicated, ladies and gentlemen. I said it before the election and after the election. I knew it was going to be a complete waste of resources and time. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And I didn't just criticize the policy without making recommendations for alternatives. I actually went on live TikTok and spoke at length on this subject. But nobody actually listened because we aren't that big, you know. We are not in positions of authority or not even party members. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The agric minister complaining in parliament of the challenges. What did he expect, ladies and gentlemen? Take a look at the agric minister in parliament talking about the current states of the policy rollout. Just take a look first.
The difficulty we had with some of the regions, especially in the eastern region, some of the farmers who benefited called me and said, Honorable, our beds are ready. We are not getting the market. And I said, oh, look, we can find some market for you. So we spoke to
it's no. Once earlier, I say the problems of our port farmers is one of the problems is that they don't have the ready market for their bears, or they don't have the ready market to sell their produce to. It's one say because this policy need one say on one side prove me right because after so I got church and Nkoko Nkitinkiti na come the grassroots people and the poultry farmers no, they are still complaining about the same old problems now. Say they don't have the ready market for their produce. And don't say
we spoke to some of the processors. Some of them had to move cars from Accra to some of the regions to go and buy the best. But there are also stories that we can also share.
Listen, that means the processors of this farm produce, most of them will be in Accra. Because I learned say Nkoko Nkitinkiti omo chen wo eastern region omo chen wo pa. Oh, and say if you can put say any Accra po na or eastern region crap na. And that it's not a car, somebody said they have to move cars. That means transporting or conveying themselves, which is the processes from their factories or their industries to the farms to go get the raw produce and bring back to their industries or factories to turn into finished product. That means it was a bit of a struggle. And what will make it a bit of a struggle? Number one, the roads. Roads near poor, very bad, potholes. And these are the things we are complaining about. This is the systematic change in here. Be suffer. More fix your roads in my and cast more first can be your bottom my. More fix your roads in my. Number two, so more factories in Bay. The farms. More factories in Bay farms. Number three, more ready market and my farmers. This is what we are talking about. And now we regulate prices, Emma farmers. I mean, the feed and more regulate more. No me afford. That's what we are talking about. These are the problems we are talking about. And more solution with the ban. It doesn't correlate. It doesn't relate to our problems. Now, about it doesn't solve it.
They also share. Some also decided to kill and eat all. In fact, they were even sending me videos that honorable,
bro,
eating everything. But this is not meant for that immediate consumption.
I first of all have to say this.
So they call you to tell you that honorable, we are eating the chicken. So what are you guys doing to them? What was the deal when you guys gave out this Nkoko Nkitinkiti to these farmers? What the mom if that was not the case, now could do from say, oh, honorable, what are you guys doing to them? Are you guys going to take back the Nkoko Nkitinkiti or take back the amount you spent in giving them those Nkoko Nkitinkiti from them and other? And you guys are laughing, bro. Just say yes, sir. My Canadian, norm as I norm or chroma. Say taxpayer, say Ghana ni youth abrantier ababa wa beku yejuma efifrem ewia yanse ati nenim fifre no atu on tax. Say oh aban for be here then eye roads man for be AC hospitals for be AC school dan for be free education mama for be C factories na me ba and my sister bi and me bra bi and me ankasa kro metima ko ejuma this same factory ma say atu tax na mo say sika no kwa mo say akoto Nkoko Nkitinkiti ada ko ma mo grassroots for omonya kudro from aka cham say ono abo ye wi Nkoko no na mo sere because normal norm or Ghana say Ghana e be say taxpayers money.
I like the agric minister. I think he's way better than the previous agric minister, at least because of the irrigation project they are pushing in their farm plains, if you know it, which I'm going to talk about very, very soon.
This is something I commend. Irrigation, like irrigation is one major problem in our agriculture sector. The farmers rely solely or heavily on the rainfall or rain to irrigate their farms. It's if you guys are doing such a project, bro, I'll clap for you, I'll applaud you guys. This is what we are talking about. This is a systematic change and here can want to now we know I'm not starting to work on a small project bills, small irrigation project no more yet. We want irrigation as in work on small irrigation project no more yet. And your project be a bit more feed a huge acres of land or farmland. And your project be a bit me I supported maybe hundreds of farmers. Look at irrigation system no more and projects no more. A bit more support. I cost be a 3 and 5. Now, 5 no come farms to grab when do 1 acre. But this is something we are asking for, and I'm applauding you guys once again.
And also because of the farm machines the president recently procured from Belarus, ladies and gentlemen, which I have spoken about. This has the potential of changing the way farming is done in Ghana for good. But here's the problem. There are policies that may sound nice to certain people, but it will end up wasting your resources, ladies and gentlemen. And this Nkoko Nkitinkiti policy is a typical example of such a policy. And I expected this minister to know and do away with it, even though it was a campaign promise. This is the problem with the policy. First, when you have to hand over these birds to farmers, you will not have the ability to supervise them because of where they are located, ladies and gentlemen. That is a fact. That's it. And supervision, if you know, is what changes everything. The lack of accountable supervision and continuity in this country is the reason for all our failures in state industries. Don't forget this. And with poultry farming, the level of supervision will have to be even more. In fact, it has to be on a daily basis because any simple disease or weather changes can take out all the birds easily, ladies and gentlemen. Now, because you cannot supervise these farmers, you cannot predict the outcome of the poultry farms. And that's what's beginning to occur. Listen to me. Any business you run in this country where you cannot directly control or supervise at some level, you cannot predict the outcome of that business, and that business is more susceptible to fail than to succeed. Take this from me, especially in Ghana. Now, by this minister's own admission, some farmers are eating the birds and they are proudly sending in videos of it, and all the minister could say was, this wasn't for your immediate consumption, ladies and gentlemen. Well,
me bro, for the minister to have this courage, braveness, boldness to come to parliament and make such remarks, that the farmers are also bold enough, proud, calling him on video call and telling him that yo, yeah, Nkoko, bro, it looks like Nkoko crop no man chepo in the first place. It looks like one of those their scams. Some politicians some scams. Oh, they've trained 1 million coders. It will cost something $1 billion. You just can't more. Coders near training. No more discount. No more transcount. No more discount. Corruption. It sounds like that because bro, say any corruption and any corona mobile. A ban is saying a woman minister with me could say taxpayers money. What are Nkoko Nkitinkiti my farmers? Farmers never ring Nkoko. They are not utilizing the taxpayers money on how it's intended to be what to be used. They are rather mismanaging the taxpayers money, and they are calling you to also let you know say yeah they are mismanaging it. And I also went by your machine. I was when you don't so that's in parliament say parliament. Scam the man say and I scan you try and I'm going to think you yet is to say farmers in some mudi or mama you kono. Now it looks like say muna mobile because there's no serious country where a minister can come and sit in parliament and make such remarks. There's no serious country. So we make such remarks, near in presume, near in question, near in punish you in any way or in any form. But that's bro, that's what is happening. Corruption, perfect, broad daylight under our noses.
Mr. Minister, those who showed you the videos of them eating the chicken are actually the few honest ones in the bunch. You better brace yourself because worse stories will be told you eventually, Mr. Minister. Let me give you an example. If a farmer sells all the birds and tell you that the birds died of some strange disease or from snake bites, how do you reconcile that? I mean, give it a deeper thought. How will you ascertain whatever stories these farmers tell you about the birds? Just think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And in any case, how is the business going to be sustainable in the long term when these farmers have to depend on the same proceeds of the poultry? Ladies and gentlemen, from the jump, from the beginning, they will be selling the eggs and eating some. They will be eating some of the birds and also selling some. By the time the first batch of birds mature, ladies and gentlemen, they wouldn't have the capital to restock. So this is what I proposed. Instead of giving the birds to party faithfuls, go into the regions as a government or ministry and set up giant poultry farms that you can manage. At least one giant poultry farm in one.
But I think during John Dramani Mahamad's first term in office, like his first time of presidency, he introduced a policy where he was sharing guinea fowls. Am I right? If that's the case, then what is it with our president and fowls, or like fowls? Why does he feel the need to always introduce a fowl policy? What is it? Guinea fowls they are no material. You see, Nkoko Nkitinkiti Burkina Faso. Of course, sir. Guinea fowls by say or benye no wa processes why they danyo. Yet here na let the here we sing guinea fowls na o to akọ Burkina Faso. Etinu o man scanner here a shit taxpayers money na here a shit. Ni nya am fa me flick kete Burkina. No also be ko ozo ge Nkoko Nkitinkiti. Bia na Nkoko Nkitinkiti enwe. Farmers e ungi am den chama mpe am ni am gen cha me da. I'm going to feel like soup. Mini, Mr. President, what is it with fowls? What? Why are fowls your like? Do you like fowls? Are fowls your favorite animals or pets?
One region. Don't put the birds in anybody's hands unless it is meant to be a gift to them. In that case, it's fine. But if you really expect results from this investment, Mr. Minister, get into the business yourself and hire a CEO from any part of the world who understands the business to control everything from the ground.
It's not me can Eliano. After Matisi, Nkoko Nkitinkiti no enya policy for Ghana. The policy for their grassroots, NDC grassroots, for the NDC people. And I'm say before CP before new force for NDC for ngasa more Ghana hondom. Mumbam yembisa ya president ye jaba ko pese ye ja yesraw. Nkoko Nkitinkiti is it for Ghana and is it for NDC? And if it's for NDC, are you using your own money or your own resource to implement this policy, or are you using state funds? If you are using state funds, then we have a problem with you. But if you are using your own resource and funds, then cool. I can't call it a mediocre policy, because then it will make sense. But when it comes to the national level, and this is your policy, bro, I'm still standing on my 10 toes. Until some of you will come out to prove me wrong, or let me understand how this or such a policy can help curb youth unemployment, like on a larger scale, and 2, help the poultry farmers, and 3, also cut down the importation of that coffee into this country. Because that coffee airport about common say kidney health sector also yet the whole country. You see dialysis machine Ghana honey and bro 5 and bro 5 kolebu yase ba coupe nesi wo dialysis machine ba coupe last 2 years or 3 years ago. A friend of my kid brother, my brother odi mechi na downfall ni schoolmate small girl ni kidney be say am ko da kolebu am the dialysis ni bi eden esi so bro me ko lady no bro. I asked him like very sad. It's not maybe some saying no. Say you see that machine will be about company the back is salad so during that year. Na sad that same year maybe I say yeah man say sebe. Me so me kidding say they also need that dialysis machine. How are we going to manage? Is it I'm going to die or the lady is going to die? Ghana, Mr. President, please and please. We are going to support you if you are doing the right thing. See, Islamic Island, that irrigation system, it's not me applaud them. There are some policies that you've introduced that I think, or there are some things that you are doing in this country so far that I think you are doing a great job. But then you know, because this country has the potential. We have everything. So why are we still lacking? That is our problem. That is my problem personally. See, Afghanistan and this one of these deserted countries but in this case no, we have everything: the land, the river bodies, the minerals, good weather conditions. We have everything. So I'll be still lacking, bro. It's sad, bro. It's sad.
This will be your winning formula, Mr. Minister. Banging your hopes on grassroots people to be the leaders of such a policy like this. It's like casting your fishing hook into that tiny stream in your backyard, hoping that it will catch a big fish. You are working, yeah, but you are waiting in vain. Face the challenge, Mr. Minister. Get into state poultry farms. You have all that it takes to make it profitable. Once you embrace this, Mr. Minister, you can run a multi-million poultry farm.
It's Mr. Nkoko Nkitinkiti saying Nkoko Nkitinkiti much say 10 will be about no man 10 and because I would want to know, because Ocha Nkoko be 100 crap bro 100 no, if that farmer is able or will be able to rear this 100 chicks for all of them to grow and none of them to die crap bro, what will make profit more than 20,000. What will make profit more than 20,000? I have a friend, I have people, even my landlord is even a poultry farmer. The house I'm renting, my landlord is even a poultry farmer, and we have conversations. I have a friend, an immediate friend, a very close friend. I also is also into poultry farming, so I know how much they make, how much they are making. It's so an individual 100 chicks scrap on so on 1 ton in fast 100 chicks no what me nya for some more than 20,000 crap doors what me nya for some more than 10,000 or 15,000 you say for 6 months and for 3 or 4 months or 5 months on be rare san Nkoko now obe make profit of 10,000 bro so I play for 2 I know be mom I hate no be mom as payment of their work so I play for 2 or even just one person self crap na bro I no be mom na he ne be ka na him nso no betim bi nso akwa den akofa Nkoko no bi nso asa be tom bi asa be nyom asa tom and those make say this Nkoko Nkitinkiti policy it doesn't make sense. It's mediocre me say susu bi ejuma hunu frivolous policy ejuma we enye den mama ejuma numa presidency ejuma mama leadership position ejuma man ye easy you make it look easy like me as a youth me as a young person and this is what you guys are doing and if I'm to follow you guys with footsteps then presidency is easy bro. Next mostly what's the age the necessary age to become a president 40 years right I'm in my mid-20s now so next 25 years to come I'll stand for presidency because money look that easy bro money look easy so next 25 years to come 25-30 years to come I'll be standing for presidency until you guys watch out for David Nyamalate to vote for me
that hires thousands of farm workers in all the regions who will work in shifts and be a part of your 24/7 economy policy. This is way more economically viable than this thing you are embarking on, ladies and gentlemen. You are a smart minister, and I know this video will find you. It's not too late to bring this to the attention of the president, if he hasn't heard me say this already. For election reasons, you may go ahead and continue sharing birds to your followers. But for Ghana's sake, if this is not some game you guys are playing and you mean business for this country, please take it a notch higher. Get into state farms and bring together the right pieces to make it successful, Mr. Minister. Let me bring this to your attention, ladies and gentlemen. According to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, in the year 2018, Ghana imported 7.7 million day-old birds. In 2024, Ghana imported 8.6 million day-old birds. Ghana is a large consumer of chicken and eggs. And even though we have local hatcheries that are doing quite well, the market size is still huge. Yeah. So the government will have to intervene.
Ghana ha. And number apart from fish is chicken. Chicken and my eggs. I'm saying the whole world be say it's Ghana. You're talking about Ghana. Now now eggs is part of our identity now. Egg is part of Ghana's identity now. Like I mean our culture, like what other foreign countries know us for. Apart from our football, our kente, our peaceful and calm nature, egg is also part of our identity. Our identity now. If egg is part of our identity now, why as a country you invest, like properly invest, like systematic investment, not petty empowerment, not a micro politics. Yet Sienna, Nigerian president and a wife, first lady of Nigeria, Rebecca saying a way of helping curb unemployment in Nigeria is by giving Nigerian vendors or women, market women, small amount of money to start akara and kuri business. Yes, oh, Ghana, so Nigeria for the idea, Yakura, yes, Nigeria for. And first lady, yes, it be the same thing way when a president to do for you. It be the same thing way when a MP last time I catch say, "Bana you go be Indomie shops, yanko Indomie in town." It be the same thing, it be the same mediocre mindset, it be the same mediocre mindset. That's Africa Chroma, Africa continent we be the same mediocrity. Yeah, if we are better than Nigerians.
Or eventually the Chinese will come. Secondly, we don't only import the eggs or the chicken, the meat of the chicken in itself, but we also import fertile eggs for commercial hatcheries and the feed and the vaccines. There is a real need for state participation in this because there's a lot of money sitting there. Whether in the field of feed production or poultry farm itself, the hatcheries, or the fertilizers that can be produced from their droppings, ladies and gentlemen, the state must get involved. I'll tell you this story. One time I met a fan at the mall who chose to engage me on why I keep talking about the state this and the state that, and not rather invest my platform or my time to push for private sector reforms that can empower the private sector in Ghana to compete on a higher level like it's done in the US. And I'm sure maybe you have a similar thought. Well, this is my response to that. If you understand the kind of competition coming from China, you will know that eventually all those American companies will either
China for India, one be Biafra, and Ghana Hong and Africa Hong be Europe, America. And anything I do not try and buy back say or the tariffs be total products imported from China. China for India, also they are serious rough, not any the air work man. And Ghana market is going to be for baby where could be a China for you for my Nigeria for they are everywhere you go, like MTN.
become Chinese majority owned companies or eventually collapse. In the manufacturing industry across the world, if you didn't know, there is only one competition, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't observed, and it's not any country in the West, it is China. One competition. And not just the Chinese companies, but the Chinese companies plus the Chinese government. Chinese companies aren't taking over production in the world only because they are hardworking and innovative. No, that's not the fundamental reason, ladies and gentlemen. The real reason has to do with their state backing. Every major Chinese company you see in your home country has the Chinese government involved. It's either it belongs to the Chinese government in disguise, or the Chinese government is a partner to that enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, they open doors, the state of China open doors for its businesses overseas. They provide them with the infrastructure to produce at a cheaper cost. So that's why you are able to afford.
Are you listening to what Mr. Soros is saying here? Hope so you guys move here. The Chinese, they are supporting their entrepreneurs who are not only in China but also going outside of China into foreign lands, into foreign countries to go produce. They're supporting them with infrastructure, money, and legal support in here. So how can such an industry, such a factory, which is a Chinese factory or industry, fail or collapse? And how also would that also helps scale up employment in China and even outside China? The
Chinese government is basically the reason the country's businesses are taking over the world. The moment you understand this, and I hope you understand it, you should know that without your country's involvement in indigenous businesses, ladies and gentlemen, to at least legislate laws to protect its local businesses and its citizens and assist businesses with the capital for expansion and new technologies, the Chinese will come. They'll come in and provide a cheaper alternative, and your local private businesses will eventually die.
Collapse.
Businesses are dying all over the world because of China. I personally wish it was strictly private, but the Chinese government isn't playing our kind of game. They are moving differently, and so we have to rethink of how to survive in the production industry. When you live in China, there's nothing like mine, or I own this, or I own that. They don't talk like that. They say ours, womenda. Because ultimately everything in that country belongs to the state. So Mr. Minister of Agric, let's get into state farms, starting with poultry farming, and you thank me later. I rest my case. I'm Cyrus, and thanks for watching till the end. I'll see you in the next one. Remember to subscribe if today is your first time with us. It is bye-bye for now.
Providing us with this content. Thanks for also educating us and informing us on what's happening in this country, Mr. Cyrus. Thanks once again. I'm Niyama, and this is Ghana First on Niyama Studios. And if today is your first time to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, share, and comment. And you are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome. You are welcome to my channel. Hope you've subscribed. I'll give you a minute to do that. Like and let's vibe in the comment section. Let's share your opinions. I want to know your opinions in the comment section. Thank you for doing just that. I appreciate for sharing your comments, for subscribing, for liking the video, and for sharing the video too. Hope to catch you on the next episode. I'm out.